Hi and welcome to Old School Blues Guitar. By request, I'm doing a lesson for the guitar parts on Little Walter's harmonica instrumental Juke, which was recorded for Chess Records in the 1950s. This is a great example of how to play some guitar behind a harmonica. And as far as I know, there's one guitar playing on it, but I think there might be two. And so when I teach this, I'm just going to teach the guitars that I hear. And what I hear, there might be stuff going on that I can't hear in the background, and that's true for a lot of these chess recordings. Sometimes the second guitar especially gets lost in the mix, or lost in just the sound of the band. So for Little Walter's Juke, there's really a few ideas. There's some chords, there is a few variations on a turnaround, which is really kind of neat, and then there's a boogie bass pattern. There's a stop time with a real cool stop time part. And then toward the end of the song, there's an end tag. And some of these parts repeat themselves. So what I'm going to do for this lesson to make it short and to the point is just teach these things out of context. That is, I'm not going to teach the entire song verse by verse, line by line. Now, I do have it tabbed out. And to the best of my ability, I've tabbed the whole song from start to finish. So you can check that out. And I'll try to post that as soon as I can after posting the video. So the song is in the key of E. And we're going to use some chords here. And the very first thing you hear when Little Walter kicks in with the harp is these E major chords. And this is a chord, if you play an E power chord, you could play it like this, the bar chord. But it sounds to me like he's just got his ring finger on the 9th fret, getting the 1st through 4th string. And it's really getting the 4th through 1st strings, 1st through 4th. And you could also play it with the power chord. I don't hear that, because I hear that note on there. So that's a E major chord. And then you also have an A 9th shape, which is like this. So I'm going to put my first finger on the 11th fret of the 4th string, second finger on the 12th fret of the 5th string, which makes that an A, and then I'm going to flatten my ring finger out on the 12th fret. You're going to hear that one too. A couple other chords that he uses. Now I'll show you a verse with all this stuff in it here in just a second. And in fact, I'm going to play the original recording and show you where the chords fit in. And then on the turnarounds, he does a couple different versions of a B7, and that's the 5 in this song. So this one he uses, which is just an A7th shape moved up 2 frets. And so my ring finger is on the 5th fret of the 1st string, and my first finger is flattened out on the 4th fret, 1st through 4th strings. That's a B7. And then he's also going to use this B7, which is your standard first position B7th. I've got my first finger on the 1st fret of the 4th string, my second finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, my ring finger is on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and my pinky is on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. And those are the chords that he uses in the song Juke. Now let me play the first verse for you and listen to this, and I'll kind of show you where these chords fit in. I'm not going to go through the patterns and how many times he plays each chord on each time. I'm going to let you listen to that, because I think if you want to play the song exactly like Little Walter, it'd be pretty easy to do, or like his guitar players. So here is Juke. There's the A 9th. And then right there he goes, sounds like a B7, and then into the turnaround part, which I'll show you in a minute. So in that first part of the song, he's playing some different patterns of these chords. So here's the E major chord. Something like that. It sounds like he strums it, lets it hang, and then strums it again. Whoops. Then goes to A9. like that. Then he does this 3 times, 1, 2, 3. Again, I've got the patterns tabbed out on the tab. I'm not sure if I'm exactly right, but I think I am. And then he gets to the B7. Then he does the turnaround. This is the first turnaround. And it's difficult to hear exactly what's going on here. So I've got a couple different theories or ideas on what's being played here. The first one is he starts with the B7, and then he does this double stop. Whoop. Then he goes into this typical turnaround in E. So one idea is he slides from got my second finger on the second fret of the second string and my ring finger on the third fret of the third string, and I'm going to slide into this double stop and then take it down 1, and then I'm going to do a double stop on the second fret, second and third strings, and then hammer on the first fret of the third string and get the open second string. So the whole turnaround like this. That's the first part of it. So in context with the B7, I hear something like that. Maybe I'm wrong. And then he does this. This is a typical blues turnaround. I'm making a D7 shape, and I'm starting it with my first finger on the third fret of the second string, my second finger on the fourth fret of the third string, and my ring finger on the fourth fret of the first string. It's an E7th, and I'm just going to walk it down. So from the third fret, my 2 fingers on the third fret, second fret, first fret. Now he might be pinching it, getting just the first and third string. Sometimes I think I hear this. I'm pinching that with the pick and my third finger on my right hand. And he does a little turnaround again there and into a B7th chord. So that whole part slowly. That's one possibility. Another possibility is he started out with that slide. Instead of this, just the second and third string. Sometimes I think I hear that first string. And then the double stop without the first string. Maybe that's what he does. And that is the part that I think I hear. So he leads into it with the B7. Then there's one verse where he does this similar turnaround where I think he might start with this B7. And do something like that. So when you listen to the song, give it a listen yourself. I've listened to it on my computer, on my car stereo, on my regular stereo, on vinyl, and trying to hear exactly what's going on. And those are a couple ideas that I'm not positive if those are right, but they seem to work and they sound pretty close, at least to what I can hear on the record. So there we have the first part of this lesson for Juke. We've got the chords and that he plays in the first couple verses, and he does a turnaround like this. In the first couple verses, first 2 or 3 verses, he does something like that. So in the next part, we're going to look at the boogie pattern. We'll do that here in just a minute. Back to Old School Blues Guitar, we're working through the Little Walter instrumental Juke, taking a look at the guitar parts that are being played behind Little Walter's fantastic harmonica playing. And in the first part of the lesson we covered some of the chords and the turnaround ideas, and now we're going to, at least most of the turnaround, there's still one turnaround I want to show you. Now we're going to take a look at the boogie pattern. Let me play it through one time for you, at least what I think I'm hearing on most of the verses. He's doing something close to this. I'll do the basic version and I'll show you some of the variations in this. So he does the turnaround at the end of the previous verse. first finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and he's strumming both the 6th and the 5th string to get that. Now what I think I hear is he's got his right hand palm and he's setting it very gently on those strings, the 5th and 6th strings, and whichever string he's playing. So you get, instead of this, you get more of a kind of a muted, more percussive sound. So he's starting out twice with the first finger right there, and then sometimes it sounds like he's going 3 to 4 on the 6th string. Sometimes it sounds like he just goes to the 4th string. You can listen to it and you could do both of them and have a little variation. So one way is like this, getting that 3-4 on the 6th string. The other way is just going to the 4th string, like that. Then he goes to the 5th fret, or the 2nd fret of the 5th string twice, and you can go to the tab and look at this. I don't want to walk through this all the way. Then he comes to the 2nd fret of the 4th string and walks it back. So the whole thing. Check out the tab. And then he goes to over the A, and he does the same thing with moving his first finger over to the 4th string, 2nd fret, hitting the open A, still muting the string. But this time he stops the pattern on the 4th fret of the 4th string. He does that twice. One more time. And then back to the E. And then for the B7th, or the B, the 5 chord, there's a couple variations. One, he starts here on the B, which is the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and he goes to the 5th and 6th frets on the 5th string, and then 4, 6, 4 on the 4th string, like that. Then he repeats that pattern on the A with the open 5th string. Again, check out the tab for that. And then the turnaround. So I'm going open 6 twice, 4th fret of the 6th string, 2nd fret of the 5th string, 4th fret of the 5th string, to the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and then I'm going right into my B7. So that whole thing. Just like that. And so that is the basic boogie bass pattern that he's playing. Now as far as some variations go, I'm going to show you a couple different variations that he does with that. One is, instead of starting on the 5 with the pattern, it sounds like in a couple places he just starts on this note. Something like that. So he starts on the 4th fret of the 4th string, and then into the 5, or the 4. When he does that, he could do the same thing over the A. Listen carefully and see if you can hear that. When he gets to the E, he tends to do this over each verse. That's what, at least I'm hearing. So the boogie pattern, those are a couple variations. Now when he gets to the end of the song, he does something a little different with the B part, and I'll get to that when I show you the end tag, which we're getting ready for. So that is the second part of Juke, the boogie bass that's going on, and that's really fun to play, especially get a harmonica player who can play some of this stuff. You can just keep this. As long as they want to play. So that's the second part. I'll be back with the third part here in just a second. Welcome back to Old School Blues Guitar. We're working through Little Walter's Juke, trying to learn the guitar parts and trying to figure them out together. Eventually, with the boogie bass pattern, he gets to a stop time. And the stop time, what he's playing is something like this. This isn't exactly note for note, but it's pretty close, and I've got it tabbed out And you can listen to the original song and figure it out pretty carefully. So he does something like this. And so when he does the bass part, he does this hammer-on onto the 4th string at the 2nd fret. And it sounds like the last time he does a little hammer-on pull-off quicker. So it's something like that. That's the stop time. So one more time. And then right here, he slides into this E double stop. And you can use whatever fingers are comfortable. I like to use my 2nd and 3rd fingers. My 2nd finger is on the 7th fret of the 1st string, and my 3rd finger is on the 8th fret of the 2nd string. And it sounds like he slides it a little bit when he's finished. So he does this. And then into the A. Into the boogie pattern. Now there's one little variation which I'll show you here in a minute. So that whole thing again. I didn't get it exactly, but that's the idea. One more time. So that's fairly simple, but it's really cool. It's a neat effect over the stop time. Then he goes to the A, like I showed you. And then he does this hammer-on, pull-off thing on the 1st fret of the 3rd string into the E. And it sounds like he does it twice. So he's going to do that and then into the E. Like that. So out of the A, and then into the B, just like he always does. So this part he only does at that one point in the song. Again, I have this all tabbed out. So the stop time part, he's just hammering on the 4th string at the 2nd fret. And then go into that double stop right here. Sometimes in Little Walter songs he'll go to a 9th chord. Something like that. But in this particular song, I'm not sure if he just plays the double stop or maybe the whole D shape. You could do that too. Just make a D chord and slide it up here where your 2 fingers are on the 7th fret and your ring fingers on the 8th fret of the 2nd string. That's it's a kind of a D7 type thing. Alright, now we're ready for the last part, which is the end tag of the song, which is the last part that really needs to be figured out. When he gets to the last verse and the very last part of it, he does something like this. Let me start it from the 1 right before he goes to the 5. And he does this. I didn't play that smoothly, but what he's doing is going to the 4th fret of the 4th string. And he kind of stays on that note and just plays that over what would be the 5. So one more time. I don't know if he does to lead into it or not. I'd have to check the tab and see, but he winds up here and just plays that, and then when the stop comes, he's going to go to the 3rd fret of the 6th string and bend down. You can hear that in the tune. He's bending that note. And he does something like this. Open, 5th string, 1, 2 on the 5th string, to the 2nd fret of the 4th string. And then it sounds like he's going back and forth between the 2nd fret of the 4th string and the 5th string. Or he could be going 4th, open, back to the 2nd fret of the 4th string. So the whole thing, that's what I think he's doing. And then he's going to slide back to that E major chord with the 1st string in there. So let me try the end tag, play it slowly. Let me try this one more time. I think he slides to it and then strums it one time at the end. So there, to the best of my knowledge and ability, are the guitar parts for Little Walter's Juke. And I hope whoever requested this, I hope that does the trick for you. It's not anything incredibly difficult, but that's the beauty of this stuff. It's simple, but it's awesome. And a lot of blues guitar players tend to shun that kind of playing in favor of all the single string bends and rounds and, you know, showing how loud and fast they can play, and they miss the subtle stuff which really provides the foundation for the other people in the band you might be playing with. And it's a kind of a lost art to back up a harmonica player. If you want to learn how to do this and learn it in the old school way, then listen to Little Walter's recordings. I think the Myers brothers and Robert Lockwood and anyone else that played on those records set the standard for how to play behind a harmonica player. Also the Sonny Boy Williamson chest recordings, those are fantastic for this kind of thing. And Slim Harpo's records feature some great guitar behind harmonica. And I could go on, but there we go. I will be back again in a couple months, and I will do another electric guitar instrumental of some kind. If you have any requests, let me know, and I will get to them, but it may take me a while. I've got quite a few requests coming in, and that's great. It gives me stuff to work on, and I'm learning a lot too. See you again soon.